Hi, it's 3 p.m. Friday afternoon. That means it's time for a News Herald Jam session. Our guest today is Billy Rader, who's going to play some covers and an original tune for you. And he's going to start off with one of my favorites, which was a Glen Campbell staple, Wichita Lineman.
Hey, thank you, Tony. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Great to be here today with all my friends at the News Herald in Panama City. And I'll try to do this song justice. Glen Campbell was one of the greatest, if not the, on the guitar and artist, and written by Jimmy Webb, who wrote a lot of Glen Campbell songs. So here we go. I am a lineman for the county, and I drive the main road, searching in the sun for another old load. I hear you singing in the wires, I can hear you through the wine, and the Wichita lineman is still on the line. It don't look like rain, and if it snows, that stretch down south won't ever stand the strain. And I need you more than want you, Lord, I want you for all time. And the Wichita lineman my orchestra. Yeah. And I need you more than want you, girl. Lord, I want you for all time. And the Wichita lineman is still on the line. Lord, it's still on the line, and I'm doing fine. Yes, I'm doing fine. Well, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Lord, I tell you, Glen Campbell was, you can tell by looking at me, folks out there, and a lot of you know me that are watching this, that I was a product, a child in the 60s and, you know, in the 70s growing up in America. I was born and raised in Wichita, Kansas, so that song's always been very special to me, and I remember as a kid listening to that song, man, what are those chords he's playing, you know? And of course, I finally figured it out, but I made a lot of fluff-ups on that, but that's all right. You get the gist of it, I hope. So, but Glen Campbell was one of my guitar heroes. I've always had guitar heroes, and I'm very thankful for that. We always had a guitar, it seemed like, in our living room, you know, against the corner of the wall somewhere, and I think that's important when parents have instruments and they encourage their children to learn them or give them the opportunity. And that happened with me, and it proved to be successful. At least I was able to make a living with it. And I started learning the guitar at the age of 5, believe it or not, and couldn't quite wrap my hands around the whole neck. And you know, in a regular G chord, you know, of course, y'all know I play guitar out there, it's 3 fingers. You know, this is a little guitar 101 here, right? Okay. But my dad said, well, we can do it. Here's what you do, son. We call this the old thumb G. So he said, bring your thumb over here on the 3rd fret and put a finger down there at the bottom. And I was doing a simple G chord. Now that's just a little instruction for you parents that got third graders out there and second graders. Actually, younger than that even. So, but it worked for me, and so I just wanted to share that with you. And I told Tony when I came to do this this great, I guess it's a Tiny Desk concert series thing. This is a first for me. I've never done one of these type things, so it's a little out of my element. And a lot of artists they come into these things and they've written great songs. Songs just come to them all the time, you know, and that's never happened to me. I wish they could. I wish they did. I know that if I could sit down with someone who could do the lyrics really good, I could certainly co-write with the music part. But I heard recently. I like the great thing about YouTube is you can learn from the past, you know. And I was watching a YouTube with Merle Haggard the other day, and he was telling a story. And Merle's known as the late Merle Haggard is known as the poet of the common man. And he said, you know, my lyrics they're not really poetry. I don't look at a song like poetry. He said my lyrics come from the heart. I try to tell a story. And so I thought that's pretty cool. Well, there was a time about, in the early 1980s when I met this guy. Our family used to own the Ocean Opry at Panama City Beach. Some of you might remember that place. We built it in 1978. It was a 1,000-seat music theater. And we got to meet all kinds of people and book a lot of artists. And I'm in the middle of starting to write a book, I guess I should say. I'm going to write a book about our family and kind of the history of it, and not to make any money, but just for the sake of the grandkids and great-grandkids and future great-great-grandkids knowing about the different things that their great-great-grandparents might have went through and maybe helped accomplish with our family here. But anyway, there was a guy that walked in our theater one day in the middle of the week, and you know, you can't judge a book by its cover, and he looked like he had been out, he looked like maybe he hadn't been to bed maybe a couple of days, that type of deal. And he said, I'm a songwriter, you know. And I said, oh, well, good, yeah. And we had a little recording studio. And he said, my name is James Harris. I said, nice to meet you, James. And my brother Dennis was there with me, and my cousins Mike and Mark Lauderette, who were with us at the time. And I don't know, we just kind of opened up, got some coffee, and sat down with James Harris, and he sang us not one song, but probably 20 songs he had written that day. And I thought, wow, this guy can write some songs. And he, you know, and he claimed that he had written with Willie Nelson, Hank Cochran, and some of the big guys. And I have no reason to doubt that he hadn't sit around with them, you know. I don't know if he wrote with them, but at least he sat around with them. So I thought he was a fascinating guy. He spent a lifetime in the Navy also. And he loved the Gulf of Mexico. He loved our waters, and not just here, but the other oceans, the Atlantic and then the Pacific Ocean. And he just impressed me as a guy who kind of the carefree lifestyle that I'm just going to go out, get a boat, and do my own thing, you know. And so my cousin and I, we got inspired, which doesn't happen too often. We did write a song. And so the only song I really had pretty good local success with and regional success was this song. And it's called the Seagoing Cowboy, and I hope you enjoy it today. And it's a true story about our old buddy named James Harris. From old ports in Jamaica to ports in New Orleans, a lonely rambling sailor told of all the things he'd seen. He told us about the hard times and about the good times too, but most of all he told us about a gal that he once knew. His face was slightly bearded, it had streaks of red and gray. We all sat back and listened as he sang away the day. Some songs he sang were happy, some songs he sang were sad, but all the songs he sang to us, they were everything he had. He's a seagoing cowboy, a rider of the waves. He's not headed for Texas, the open sea is his range. He's a seagoing cowboy, a rider of the waves. He'll keep singing country songs till they take him to his grave. Bully said he must be leaving. He said he could not stay, but he also said that he would be back in our town someday. He left with us a song he wrote. He hoped that we might play. That song he called Something Fresh was all he had to say. Well, I think about that rambling man every now and then, and I wonder if I'll ever get to see old James again. But all we have left of him is a special memory. But I'll bet right now, if you could see him, he'd be out on the sea. 'Cause he's a seagoing cowboy, a rider of the waves. He's not headed for Texas, the open sea is his range. He's a seagoing cowboy, a rider of the waves. He'll keep singing country songs till they take him to his grave. He'll keep singing country songs till they take him to his grave. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Well, anyway, that's a song that we enjoyed writing, and I still enjoy singing it. And I keep telling my nephews in Nashville, they've really done so well. I'm so proud of them. My nephews Brent and Danny Rader. I say, you guys meeting all these big celebrities and you're working for them. You think somebody might be able to do Seagoing Cowboy? Well, I haven't had any luck yet, but I'm never going to give up. You know, so you never know what might happen down the road. I'll come back to the guitar in a minute, but what I did today was brought a couple of other instruments with me because I didn't really know what to expect doing this little thing. Like I said, it's the first time I've ever done one of these tiny desk, is that what you call them, tiny desk concert series, or just an intimate News Herald jam session? Yeah. Well, and by the way, let me say this. I'm just very impressed with Mr. Tony Simmons and him putting this together, because they're. Oh, Christy, could you do it?
Yeah, Christy was.
Oh, well, great. Well, thank you, Christy. She's the lady behind the camera. But you know, putting their minds together, because a lot of local artists, a lot of local musicians need the local exposure to get gigs. You know, I've had a great career, a great run, and my career is not over by any means. But you know, my name is a little more known, you know, than some of the other younger people. And I think it's a great opportunity that you're giving these young people of different genres of music to come in here and display their abilities and their talents. So thank you for doing that for our community, because not every community does things like this for the local musical artists. Well, this is my fiddle, or you might call it the violin, and I get asked that every day. What's the difference in a fiddle and a violin? And who was your guest last week? You said
Ford Seuss.
Ford Seuss? I get that right? Yeah, he's a great violin player, a young guy. And I don't know if he gets asked that, but I do. And I always tell him the biggest difference that I know of is about $100,000 a year, because that's what symphony players might make compared to me. It's actually the same instrument. It's just the way you play it, you know. Like I was talking to Tony earlier, there's no frets. It's all in the tone. Everything's in the tone. And I thought I might just demonstrate a little bit of violin, fiddle in here for you, if that's okay. I didn't bring any background accompaniment tracks or anything like that. But when I was a kid, I was very fortunate in the school system where I grew up in Wichita, Kansas, that they offered violin lessons for children. Not only violin, but flute, clarinet, trumpet, and saxophone. And there was no charge for it. I don't know how they funded it, but, well, I do know. The parents had to pay for public schools in those days, and we did. My parents did. And so that afforded them to have the budget to do that. My dad and mom went out and rented a violin for me. Said, if you'll stick with it, we'll buy you a violin. So we found one we could rent to buy. And once I proved I'd stay with it, then we went ahead and purchased that violin, and I still have that violin to this day. So I go to school and I learn all the traditional little songs, you know, like, gosh, I don't even know what to do at this point, but you know, but I learned how to play things like all that kind of stuff, you know. You know, Mary Had a Little Lamb, things like that. I'd come home at night and play that. Well, my grandpa was an old-time fiddler. My mother's daddy, he was from Oklahoma, and Oklahoma's noted for a lot of great musicians. And my grandfather also had a couple of nephews that were great musicians that played in a famous swing band in the 1940s, a very famous swing band called Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys. They were based out of two places, out of Dallas, Fort Worth area and Tulsa, Oklahoma. They did a lot of dances and shows in that area back in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s. So Grandpa would say, you got to learn to do the fiddle and stuff. And so he got me going on doing things like this at the house. And one of the first songs he showed me was a song called Ragtime Annie, and or some people call it Raggedy Ann, but I'll just demonstrate it here. There I hit. But anyway, you can sure hear a mistake when you make it on the fiddle or violin. But that was one of the first tunes I learned, and then I learned a song I dearly loved called "Boil Them Cabbage Down," which is a staple with bluegrass and country music. And to have $1 for every time I've done that one. And of course, as the years went by, you know, and I've always considered this is not my main instrument, but I love it though. I think the older I get, I'm more enchanted with the violin and the fiddle. I don't know what it is. It's kind of a magical thing with me as I get older. And I actually, you know, do a little better when I'm all alone in my bedroom. You don't have to believe that, but I really do. But well, my wife might attest to that. She might, yeah. Only if I close the door. But you got if you're going to be a fiddler, you got to learn how to do the Orange Blossom Special. And I'm not going to bore you with the whole song, but it's a song about a train. And actually, the guy that wrote the Orange Blossom Special, and the name escapes me, I'm so sorry, but he was a man from Florida. And y'all can Google it and look it up. And Marty Stewart tells the greatest story. Marty Stewart is a country music historian. And when he was 14 years old and working for Lester Flatt on the road, I think they spent 24 or 30 hours on a bus one day, headed to a bluegrass festival somewhere in Central Florida. And they pulled up, and old Lester Flatt said, "Well, would you looky there? There's old so-and-so." And Marty said, "Who's that?" That's the man that wrote the Orange Blossom Special. But it's a song that I guess if you're a fiddler, you got to learn it. So you kind of got to imagine the train bell. You know, you've all heard that before. They go all aboard. Got to put a little train. We don't have a band going. Now here's the old train whistle as it blows up. Gotta throw that in there, you know. And I learned later an 18-wheel semi-tractor trailer truck. All right, we'll get on to the chorus here. a little bit of the Orange Blossom Special. So I thought you might enjoy a little bit of my fiddling today. So I'll put that aside right now and pick up an instrument that will probably scare everybody to death, okay? Thank you for making me so welcome today. In fact, I'm going to stand up on this portion right here, if it's all right with y'all. Let me sit down. Did I say stand up? I don't know why I said that. Lord, Lord, Lord. It's Friday. We can be happy, right?
Yeah.
Am I sitting in the right place here, Christy?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Kaz over there, the editor of the News Herald, he saw me carrying in my banjo, and he said, "Oh boy." So I said, "I hope I don't disturb y'all's Friday afternoon." The writers over there writing and pecking away on their computers. Banjo has that sound that just kind of makes a person sit up and smile a little bit. Anyway, at least I always thought it did. And a great story that I always like to share. I learned to play the banjo when I was 18 years old. I had played the guitar from the age of 5. Thought I got pretty good. Of course, mostly played electric guitar. Not just country, but a lot of some rock and roll. And did that kind of stuff, and just a big different styles of music. But I was always fascinated with the banjo. And so I went out and bought a $125 banjo by a company called Harmony, just to see if I was going to be able to learn it and stick with it. And then I guess I did. But I was having a hard time learning the rhythm, because there's a rhythm with the banjo. You don't just do your fingers like. Here's an example. You do a roll like a. Okay, big deal. But you learn to do that roll, put a little rhythm to it. So there's a lot of rhythm involved with the banjo that people don't really realize until they pick up one and begin to try it. And I was one of those. I could not capture the rhythm. And I've been playing all my life on other instruments. So my instructor, and I'm so excited that I found him on Facebook the other day, and the guy that taught me how to play the banjo. And it was his idea. I would go. He worked at a radio station, and I would go to his radio station on Monday evenings, and he'd give me a banjo lesson. He said, "Billy," he said, "why don't you bring a little cassette recorder, and we'll record the lesson, and then you can take that cassette home and play along with it." Because I would get home and forget the rhythm part of the banjo. And that was my savior for learning the banjo. So Mr. Mike Theobald, he lives up in Kansas, and great bluegrass player. I was so glad when I found him on Facebook the other day. Here's a little tune that one of the first ones I learned called the Foggy Mountain Breakdown. Earl Scruggs kind of made this famous. He's one of the, I guess, almost the father of banjo, the bluegrass style. Stole the ending there from the dueling banjos, I like that song too. So. But my dad played guitar, and he had such a passion as the years went by. His parents got ill, and I seen it happen to my own father, and his parents had to be put in assisted living facilities, and my grandmother did, and my dad had a real passion and a burden in his heart to go to the facilities and meet these people and play music, And of course, he wouldn't have it. That I had to go along with him and my brother Dennis. The three of us would do that a lot. And but I'll always treasure that, because you bring a smile to people's face. And that's what it's all about. You know, I mean, to me, you know, it's not about getting rich, because I'm certainly not that, but I'm wealthy in my spiritual blessings, and anytime I can pick up an instrument, I'm healthy. I don't have arthritis yet, and I can still do it. Yeah, that's a blessing to me. But I remember we'd get in the car and we'd be going. I'd load up Dad's guitar, and my brother would grab the upright bass, and Dad would say, "Bill, did you get your Joe?" And I said, "Yeah, I got the Joe." It's always called the Joe. You got to have the Joe. Got to bring the banjo, you know. So we'd go play the banjo. And then I kind of carried that tradition on, and I'll try to hurry because I know we don't have much time. I was playing my guitar. I'm going to put this aside. I was playing my guitar one day. I got asked, I don't know if y'all know this, but I'm very blessed to be a city commissioner here in the city of Panama City. And we get asked to do a lot of things for the public, and they're all important. And so I got a phone call one day after I'd been elected a couple of years, and they said, "Commish, would you come over to this certain assisted living facility and do a little program for these people while they're eating their lunch?" And I said, "I'd be happy to do that, you know, love to do it." So I went over there and took my guitar and had a great time and entertained them for about 25 or 30 minutes. Most of them were clapping along and having a good time. And but there was one guy sitting over here on the front, and he was in a wheelchair, and I could tell he wasn't feeling too good, I guess. He didn't smile, he didn't clap, he didn't really get into the music too much. And so it's my job as an entertainer. You want to entertain these people, and you try to win them over. You want to make them smile and applaud if you can. You know, that's what you're taught. And so I went up to him after my program. I said, "Sir," I said, "I couldn't help but notice that you really didn't get into the music today." I said, I sure hope you get better." And he said, "Well, I hope you get better too." I'll tell you, boy, that'll knock you down quick. Man, that's a true story, by the way. I know.
That's a cold burn.
I mean, you know, people are funny, you know, and they're honest. They really are. And it's so, that's true. That's true. That'll humble a person, for sure. And that's important to never forget your roots, never get above the roots of your raising, you know. Want to say something personal. I've been married to my lovely wife, Becky. I say this for 41 years, and I'm very blessed. She's a great singer, and just a wonderful wife and a wonderful mother and grandmother. And Becky and I have 4 grandchildren and 1 on the way. So that'll make 5. Our daughter Ashley is expecting a baby later in May here, so we're excited about that. It's going to be a little girl, so at that point we'll have 3 girls and 2 boys. So life is good. Anyway, I know we're running out of time, but I thought I'd just do maybe a little bit of a song that I always enjoyed doing, called Malaguena, you know, and since tomorrow's Cinco de Mayo Day, right? You know,
yeah.
Right? There you go. And a lot of people don't know, you know, I think we owe a lot. Ponce de Leon, you know, he discovered Florida. You know, we all know that from the history books, right? You remember that? Yeah. And so we owe a little bit to him, you know, for bringing some of the Spanish culture and the Spanish music over here to the Florida, to our states. And of course, the rumor is that the Seminole Indians knew that Florida existed long before that. But that's a good joke there, you know. But anyway, I'll try to do this justice, you know. quick example. Another thing I learned as a kid, I really love this song. Gotta throw that in there.
Yes.
Stairway to Heaven. I was influenced by so many great music, great musicians and songwriters from my time of growing up. And I know we're out of time, I guess, probably. Do we have to cut it off at this point? But I don't know. But I just wanted to just kind of give you a little bit about what I do and what inspires me as a musician. And I will come back because you said we'd do it again.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
I, as I said here, I get some ideas I'd like to do, you know. And I thank you folks out there for giving time and watching this on the Facebook Live today. I've enjoyed it.
You mentioned that you are playing regularly.
I am.
Tell us where people
Yep.
can go see
You all can come see me every Tuesday and Thursday night at a restaurant called Sisters of the Sea, and it's at 3901 Thomas Drive. If you go across the bridge and take Thomas Drive past Captain Anderson's and go across the Grand Lagoon Bridge, and you'll turn left at the Pirates Cove Boat Marina, and you drive all the way down to the water. It's kind of hidden. And it used to be called Runaway Bay, the restaurant did. And I play out there on the porch, patio, or outdoors on beautiful nights from 6 to 8 o'clock every Tuesday and Thursday. And love to have you all come and be with us. And love to have it. I just take requests and have fun. It's my therapy night, so what I call it.
Do you want to finish it up? Or? Okay.
Thanks, man.
Be sure to tune back in with us next week when we're going to have the Bay High School Jazz Band.
Oh, that'll be great.
3
yeah.
p.m. Friday.
Yeah.
Thanks.